What did we learn from Arsenal 1, Bournemouth 1? Welcome back to the Rory Talks Football channel, your daily Arsenal news, updates, debates, and my opinions. If you are new to the channel, please do subscribe. We are on the way to 11,900 subscribers. And of course, if you could click the like button, I would be incredibly grateful. But look, let's get into last night's game, this morning's game. Credit to you if you were up at 3:30 a.m. watching it. And you know what? Actually, in the end, it was worth getting up for. I was slightly worried about the lineups, what Arsenal's lineup would be, what Bournemouth's lineup would be, what sort of game it would be, being that it was the first of our preseason games on this tour, that we've got two bigger games coming up against Manchester United and Liverpool. But actually, I was pleasantly surprised, both with our lineup and with Bournemouth's. And so, look, we'll get into it. These were the lineups, and you can see here, Bournemouth's lineup was a fully senior team. It wasn't their best possible lineup, but it wasn't a youth team. There really weren't any youth players in it. And this is the sort of lineup that you could see in a Premier League game. Okay, the likes of Smith, Semenyo, Utara, Billing, you might see them starting a Premier League game. But this was a solid senior team. And I think that was important for us, especially important for our academy products that played. And whether it was, Hein in goal, Heaven, Lewis Skelly, Nwaneri, Mahand. We played a fair number, half the team effectively was youth products. And I thought they stepped up well. Across the board, I thought they stepped up well. Of course, there were some standout players that you would expect. But across the board, it was a solid performance against a good senior team. And I think it's good minutes in the tank. And of course, for the senior players, the likes of Thomas Partey, Rory and Timber. I think these minutes are so important for Rory and Timber. It was good. Fabio Vieira as well. So look, we'll talk about all of them. Let me know your thoughts on the game in the comments. Of course, if you're just watching highlights, let me know what you thought. But I want to start with Nwaneri. I thought it was really telling that he played 84 minutes. He played more minutes than any other Arsenal player last night. And I think he is going to get more minutes across the season this season. I think he should. And I'll be disappointed if he doesn't. I thought in a game, like I said, against a full senior team of Premier League players, he didn't look out of place. And that was so important. Not just physically, but also mentally. The composure that he had, how comfortable he was with the ball. I thought that was really important. And it's something that we need to see from him. There wasn't that sort of naivety that you could expect to get from a 17-year-old. And then, like I said, physically, the way he was riding tackles, the way he was winning duels, I do think he's ready to step up and get more than just sympathy minutes, right? We've seen him get 10 minutes here, 10 minutes there. I think he's capable, not of starting big Premier League games, not yet. There's no need to do that. But, 45 minutes against some of the lesser Premier League opposition, starting games in the Carabao Cup, potentially the FA Cup, depending on those runs that we get. I think this is a really important time for his development, especially if he's not going to go out on loan. If this is going to be a player that we are going to go straight from the academy into integrating with the senior team, I think this season's important for his minutes. And it was a really impressive performance from him, carrying the ball, the burst of pace that he has, that acceleration that he has with the ball to take it past a player, the way he can then ride the tackle, his range of passing, really impressive. I remember one ball that he spread right across the pitch from one side to the other. There was that disguised through ball for Eddie Nketiah. That's quality. That is genuine quality. And it is really exciting to see. So he is definitely a player that I want to see a lot more of this season. I thought Heaven and Lewis Skelly were really impressive, actually. Playing as defenders, academy defenders against senior Premier League players, that is difficult because it's such a physical battle. And both of them did really well. What I find impressive about Lewis Skelly is that he's playing left back, but he's playing this inverted left back role. That requires genuine intelligence, footballing intelligence, understanding of the game. Not many players are capable of doing it. And the ones that are really impressive. And if this is potentially the long-term sort of solution to Zinchenko within the squad, then I would be more than happy with it. Previously in the academy, we've mainly seen him play as a 6 and as an 8. He's an excellent ball carrier. But yeah, really impressive from him. Heaven, I'd honestly not seen much of prior to pre-season, but he looks like a talent as well. Mahand, on paper, according to this, he was our worst player. I actually think that's a little bit harsh. I'm not sure why. Obviously, he only got the 45 minutes. Great passing accuracy. I thought he looked relatively composed. So that's potentially harsh. And then Carl Hein. Who, before pre-season, I thought he would definitely go out on loan this season. It was reported that the only reason he actually agreed to sign a new deal at the club was on the understanding that he would go out on loan, on a good loan to a team where he would start games and continue to develop, because he does need game time. But there is part of me that could see him becoming the second choice keeper at Arsenal this season if we lose Aaron Ramsdale and don't want to spend 25 million getting a replacement. You know, the players that we've been linked to as potential replacements for Aaron Ramsdale, Joan Garcia from Espanyol, I think they want 25 million euros for him. Lunin from Real Madrid. Is it necessary? Now, Carl Hein last night, we already know he is a good shot stopper. When it comes to penalties, he's excellent and was again last night. The key thing, if you want to be a capable replacement for David Raya, is your ability on the ball. It's your distribution. It's your composure on the ball. And I thought he showed that last night. I mean, if we look, 87% pass accuracy. His long ball accuracy wasn't bad. 57 touches of the ball. I say the only thing he didn't necessarily show last night, and part of that was because of the way that Bournemouth played, was his ability to claim high balls. And that's a really important part of David Raya's game. But outside of that, I think people also don't necessarily understand the experience that he has. Of course, he doesn't have much experience of senior domestic football, but he's got over 30 appearances for Estonia, playing for his national side. And so there is experience there of playing senior football. Of course, you'd be taking a risk. If Carl Hein was to be our second choice keeper this season, and heaven forbid, David Raya got a long-term injury, would you want to rely on him week in, week out? I don't know. Is he ready to step up and do that? Potentially not. But yeah, I don't know. It's an interesting one, because it's a fair chunk of money to spend this window if you go and get a Garcia or a Lunin or whoever else. So we'll see how that develops. Elsewhere, Jurrien Timber, God, it is like a new signing. It's like a new signing. Really, really impressive. I think, seeing him play at centre-back, it's almost like people are surprised that he can play at centre-back, as if he didn't play at centre-back for basically his entire career at Ajax. He was a right centre-back for them, who played a slightly different role, I suppose, because for them, he would move up into the midfield a lot of the time. But really, that's not a lot different to what Saliba does in terms of sitting on the halfway line. You never really end up with Saliba kind of with his back to the opposition and receiving the ball. But Timber is a very, very capable player, whether it is at centre-back, at right-back, at left-back. And he's going to be a massively important player to us this season. And I do just want to see as many minutes in pre-season for him as possible. We want to get him up to absolute full pace, because in my opinion, he will be starting in the Premier League at the start of the season. It's not going to be Calafiori. And the competition that we have across the back line between White, Timber, Calafiori, Gabriel Saliba is absolutely sensational, and I'm really excited for it. Thomas Partey, I thought at times looked a little bit sloppy. 88% pass accuracy is what you'd expect from him. Plenty of touches of the ball, but it's an interesting one. I am leaning on the fact that we probably aren't going to keep Thomas Partey for the rest of this season. I think we'll lose him next summer. And I think if you look at the deals that we're doing, it's quite clear we're making it so that a lot of our sales go through next summer. These loans with obligations to buy. Obviously, Emil Smith-Rowe looks like he is definitely leaving imminently. But outside of that, the loans with obligations means a lot of that money we're going to make next summer. And I can see us, bringing in Mikel Merino, and our midfield this season being Partey, Rice, Merino, Jorginho, and Thomas Partey moving on next summer, and that sort of big midfield signing coming next summer. And look, some people will say that that is poor. Some people say that that is not enough. But I think it's beginning to shape up as the reality. Fabio Vieira. We're investing in Fabio Vieira stocks once again. For the third summer in a row, we are investing in Fabio Vieira stocks. Is this season going to be the difference? Is this going to be the one where we finally see the Fabio Vieira that we want to see? I thought he had a good game. Looked comfortable on the ball. Looks a bit stronger. And there's this idea that he needs to be massively bulked up, almost like the current version of Mesut Ozil. He doesn't. Martin Ødegaard is not a massively bulky player. It's more about understanding how to use your body, which I do think he is beginning to develop. Of course, the goal that he scored was lovely. Really nicely played from Reiss Nelson. Might be one of the final things we see Reiss Nelson do for us. Ball into Fabio Vieira, struck it on the volley, clean as you like. Very nice goal. And I do hope that Fabio Vieira has a bigger opportunity. Well, Fabio Vieira does have a bigger opportunity this season, and I hope he is able to take it. Without Emil Smith-Rowe, without those two kind of fighting for what is ultimately the same spot in the squad, I think that takes the pressure off him. I think if he does become almost the automatic substitute for Martin Ødegaard, I think that's a big opportunity for him. And we've consistently seen glimpses of him, but we've not seen those glimpses consistently, if that makes sense. We've seen what he can do, but we need to see it consistently. Injuries have plagued him a little bit. This is a big potential season for him. Obviously, in terms of the substitutes that we brought on, Ødegaard, Jorginho, Kivior, Zinchenko, Charles Sago Jr., would like to see a bit more of him throughout preseason. Jesus, I thought looked sharp again. Trossard as well. And then obviously it went to penalties. Trossard missing his penalty, hitting the post. But outside of that, everyone scored. And that was it. That was it. So look, a good game, good minutes in the tank for plenty of the players. Very excited to see how preseason develops, how the minutes for certain players develop. I would like to see a lot more of Nwaneri going forward. I thought Eddie Nketiah and Reiss Nelson both looked sharp. I think if you're talking about keeping them in the shop window for sales, I thought both of them looked sharp. Physically, both of them look like they're firing quite well, which is good. It's good. It shows that they've been professional this summer. And so we'll see how that goes. But look, anyway, that's going to be the end of the video. I appreciate all of you for watching. If you could like, of course, subscribe if you're new. The streams are on a bit of a postponement. I'm away this weekend. So the next live stream, 6:30, Tuesday the 30th. We will have a recap at that point of the Manchester United game. But until then, I hope you all have a fantastic weekend. I appreciate you watching, and goodbye.